have to make this quick. This is going to be posted late, but I'm posting it, and I'm not giving up on the shit. Sorry for the cursing. It's almost midnight, and I'm trying to get this done, so this is probably going to be my only recording. I don't want to waste time with anything, and I can't get the recording to do it at once. I'm hoping I'll be able to post everything on here. If not, I'll try and post it in through YouTube. So we'll see how that goes. So, let me grab something real quick. I was planning to do physical mock-ups, but with how things were moving along, that sadly is not going to happen. There are digital mock-ups though, and they're on the actual PDF that I just posted. Of course, that doesn't make sense to the people right here. So, I don't have exactly pictures at the moment. But I'm going to try and defend everything to my best ability, and I'll even try and post maybe some pictures if I got them for the critique, even though I know people are not going to be watching this except probably the teacher. So, what I basically did, to the best of my ability, was I made a mock-up for a website and included the assets in the post as well for the asset setup, for all the assets together. I put together a bunch of assets to basically create kind of a fake mock-up of a website for promoting this soda brand that I wanted to make a poster for as well, but I felt like I was getting myself sidetracked and I focused on everything else on the mock-up. Excuse me. This is very awkward. I'm only at 2 minutes and I have to figure out how to keep going. I can't physically show you things because that's not how my camera works, so I'm going to have to describe everything the best that I can. The Piran drink line is supposed to be a fictional product that is a soda that is made from real fruit juice. I may have explained this before, but its whole shtick and its whole spiel is that it's supposed to be a soda that you can feel good about drinking. Because all other soda brands make all of their products with fake sugars, with fake ingredients. Meanwhile, Piran is coming around and is carbonating actual juice and is creating something that's not only sweeter, but healthier to consume. So it's trying to be kind of the rebel of the group. So that's where I kind of got the idea of a kind of a Polynesian tiki head style of mascot, which is making up the entirety of the can of the soda. I wanted to create a small representation of the mascot, but I ran out of time again. Time is always my enemy. But the idea is that Piran was actually kind of starting off from something called Pirani that I made a little bit ago in a sketch, but that was something completely different. I stuck with the name because I thought it was kind of small and catchy, and there isn't really a lot of sodas with a P sounding name or with a P starting in their name. So I stuck with Piran, which at first was going to be a representation for the paranoia that we've been feeling locked up inside of our houses during quarantine. But then I took the name and just turned it into a rather iffy little title. The original concept for the soda was that it was going to be about drinking so much you start to get the shakes and you start getting paranoid, but I felt like that was a little bit too on the nose. So, one second. Again, I'm doing my best here. So I tried to go for this finishing sketch here, and I know this is bad showing a sketch at this part of the at the capstone, but I'm working with the best that I can. That was the final sketch that I used for the overall design of the tiki head design. I don't have a name for the mascot; it's just Piran at the moment, and I wanted to go for a color scheme that was blue and purple for a grape flavor, because everyone loves grape soda. So I went with an overall blue and purple aesthetic for the majority of the mock-up, The caves at first were originally going to be black or brown, but I felt like that was not working with the style. I did a little bit of research on different types of food and soda brands to see exactly what they were doing. They kind of had the similar setup, so I tried to make a very simple, but very broad, open view of what they had to offer. I didn't get all of the mock up done, which someone will see, but from what I did get finished, I got a homepage, a About Us page, and a landing page done in 3 steps. The homepage and landing page kind of have similar layouts, and the About Us page is only excuse me. The About Us page, it only has some text explaining what the product is supposed to be. I did have a script, but I lost it that I was going to be using for adding like a bunch of ad-lib around the entire thing, but I accidentally deleted it with a bunch of other files because I was cleaning up my computer, so I had to mock it up again, come up with something on the spot. I think it did all right. And that's what I feel like this whole project has kind of been, is that it, for some reason, everything I always seem to work on comes up on the spot. And it's kind of how this ended up, but I feel like that despite its shortcomings, this is still something that I wanted to do. This is something I wanted to push forward with, and it's something that while not the prettiest thing in the world, I'm still going to ride it out. Not just out of the desperation of no longer having time, but because I've become kind of basically a little sick of the sterile designs that a lot of our companies are giving our products recently. Most of the time, whenever you think of soda brands, you only think of logos, words, typography, which is still very important. But I feel like there's no story behind anything anymore. You look at a Coca-Cola can, and all you see is red and the logo. That's it, which is enough to hold a product. But I feel like things tend to have a bit more weight behind it if you give it a story, if you give it character. Kind of like how cereal mascots kind of do, even though they've kind of pushed away the whole story aspect with their own commercials. The more you give something character, the more you make it feel alive, the more I feel like it makes buying that product feel a whole lot better than when you buy something that doesn't have any sort of personality behind it. And that's what I was trying to achieve with Piran. I wanted it to feel something that stood out. Again, not the prettiest gem of the bunch, but it has its own style, in my eyes. Some people will say otherwise, maybe even the teacher will say otherwise, but I became inspired by an artist by the name of Shag, who he paints most of his own art in a sort of 60s, early 70s style that you would probably see on very old-fashioned advertising posters and in some forms of pop art. The teacher showed me him, and I became really inspired by the way he did his tiki heads. I tried to copy it and add a little bit of like 90s flair to it. Not perfect, but I think it came out the way that I really wanted it to come out too. This is very roughed up, very rushed, but I still did it. And while I wish I could turn back the clock to maybe refine it, I'm not disappointed with this project. I know I'm not going to get the best grade. I know I'm not going to probably win any awards. I'm not going to be the prettiest gal at the pageant, but I still made it. It's still here, and that's all that matters to me. Maybe I'll refine it and put it better into my portfolio. I would like to probably fix it up and actually make it look proper, make it look good. But for now, it'll stay as is. And if anyone is still waiting for critiques, I'm waiting for anyone else's responses. And you all have a good night.